Short story. By Mio02. Summary. The spook may have slipped into him with the virtual embodiment of a horrific image a few meters before them. Dark empty eyes wanting to devour their souls with a salivating pit of a mouth producing the most inhuman screeches, the wholeness of death incarnate. But rather than the monstrous ghost on the television screen, it's her close breathing near his ear, her tight hold on his arm, her close warmth rolling on his skin, and her alone with him that night that drives him insane. It's her that paralyzes him and sends his body to a tortuous needlework of goosebumps. That's right. Midoriya Izuku's greatest fear is sleeping over at his best friend's apartment. Equals 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 dot. Whoever declares to not fear anything in the world is a huge liar. Fear is something that every human possesses whether they admit it or not. It doesn't matter if they are a low-profile civilian or a prominent individual, an expressive or a secretive person, or an old man or a young child. Everyone will always have that frightening voice inside of them. That cold, cold call in the air. One simple whisper of it is all it takes to freeze one's guts. Or that loud, loud scream. A barrage of tremors that is so strong that it can blow up the sturdiness of bravery. This is why the concept of heroism became a natural appeal as quirks came into existence in their world. This is why, "There's nothing to fear, 'cause I'm here," was an instant hit to eliminate the cowering and the shivering hiding in everyone's cores. However, as his own fear comes knocking on his door unannounced, not even remembering All Might can help him in this. In fact, sorry, Midoriya Shonen. It's something you have to face on your own, was what All Might told him via phone call just minutes ago, the words echoing and slowly dropping his heart rate that can just be as good as dead at that moment. Fear comes in many forms. But right now, it comes in the form of, "Oh, Deku-kun, you're here. Come on in." Izuku laughs nervously, seeing the very person embodying all his fears and haunting his thoughts, manifest in the flesh. She wears one of the most precious smiles in the world as her head tilts and her door swings. She welcomes him so openly with that dash of brightness glittering in her eyes, that blinks are not enough to hide it even momentarily. She exudes this familiarity that can only be built through the years of knowing her and growing with her. Meanwhile, he only feels himself shrink in front of her, ready to descend from the 4th floor of the building to the ground, and just be buried underneath the dirt where the establishment is erected. But he holds himself together before she could even frown and ask him why he's such a nervous wreck. Why, yeah. Feigned confidence and desperate determination fuel his voice, pumping in some bits of crumbling confidence to be able to at least stand straight and face her fully. But the moment she turns to her back to enter her abode, his body starts moving similar to a creaky robot with limbs that need to be oiled. The nightmare has only began. Izuku-kun, this is the only way, please forgive me. I am aware how this act might tarnish my promises as a friend, but it must be done. What? Izuku blinked, phone pressed to his ear as he got out of the train station that afternoon. He just sent a message to Tenya, saying that he'd arrive in Uraraka's apartment by early evening, and suddenly the phone call began with his friend's sudden apology. Formal as ever, of course. They're already on a first-name basis, but Tenya's speech just remained the way it was back in high school. Promoted stories. You'll also like. Not all heroes wear capes. Some just have 8.42.9 K 1.4 kilo. Everybody. This is a suicidal, depressed Deku book with Dadmik. Will their bond grow? Will Mike fuck up? Will Izuku try to kill himself? Find out yourself. Number 1 Radio. Own Fluka Day 112K 8.2 kilo amperes. Collection of short Own Fluko for 365 days. Please check the second book for the rest of the day's update. Hurt cuz I love you to death Izuocha. Ha. 0.8.9 K 141 Class 1A is now Class 2A and is working to be better heroes due to events that had happened before. Deku has gotten strong feelings toward Uraraka during the summer as the hero who sings with a smile 39.5 K 368 high. Guys, this is my first story I write on Wattpad. I hope you like it. The Kings and Queen Yandere Wakfu X Reader 58.3 K 1.8 Kyonder. Wakfu X Reader. Images do not belong to me unless stated. Wakfu does not belong to me, it belongs to Enigma. This is being rewritten in another book on my profile. The Heroes Return MHAXJJK, ongoing 115K 1.7K in Quad, Izuku. Midoriya, after being betrayed and killed, vanishes leaving hurt people behind. After 2 months and a hack, he come back. Changed. How will the class free? Oni shots 150K3K. This is a collections of free X readers. Requests on this are now closed. I hope you understand, but that's the thing. Take Tenya-kun. I don't understand. His left hand clutched tightly on the yellow strap of his backpack. Of course, he's worried, but he badly needed a clarification as well before his thoughts jump into conclusions that could be out of proportion. Is everything alright? Where are you? There was a pause, and when Izuku wanted to ask him more questions, Tenya simply said, I am doing fine, but I cannot, or rather, I will not join you and Ochako-kun tonight. But why? Izuku didn't raise his voice, but he could feel his throat exert more force in speaking. They've been planning this for weeks, and this whole thing was all set for Tenya. It wasn't disappointment that he felt, but more of confusion. Tenya was just never the type to suddenly back out of carefully crafted plans. Something did not sit well with him about this, and he needed to know the reason. It's been weeks since Tenya asked for his and Uraraka's help regarding something important for him. The three of them have always been the closest, no matter how each of them had their own friendship circles in class. Which is why their former class representative, one of the board members of the UA Alumni Association, would naturally come to Izuku and Uraraka when it came to personal things. However, this time, it was about something different than usual: Tenya's growing discomfort of horror movies. May, Tenya's fiancé, had a sudden obsession with horror movies, and Tenya sought their help to grow immune to it, as he'd started having sleeping problems with the constant marathon of the genre. While it does not particularly scare me, I must say that consecutively dreaming of being chased by ghouls and ghosts is something I must break, was what he said. That's why this whole overnight at Uraraka's was specially done for his sake. Except, he just backed out of it. Now what's happening? This night's for you, Izuku said. The green-haired heard a deep breath from the other line. It wasn't a tired sigh even if it sounded that way. But Izuku knew Tenya so much that he could tell it was something more than that. No, Izuku-kun. This night is for you. Deku-kun. Yes. Izuku raises his hand as if he's still a student in the classroom, volunteering for whatever it is that needs willing hands. That's dangerous, he just spaced out. Uraraka stares at his seated figure on her black couch before she lets out a hearty giggle. She settles the glass of orange juice on the table in front of him before the slightly wet hand from the moisture of the cold glass pats her hip. You all right? She's looking at him with concern, but he could see that small spark of amusement, quite obvious with that lopsided smile. Immediately he brings his hand down and uses it to scratch his cheek. I'm just worried. Tenya-kun's gonna be fine. And it can't be helped in our line of work. She flashes him a wider grin before going back to the kitchen to bring out more snacks. Izuku bites his bottom lip once she leaves him in her living room, his hand gripping his dark shorts. An emergency summon from the agency. That was the cover-up that he was asked to tell her. Normally, he's the type to feel guilt for the very act of blurting out a white lie, but as he stares into the glass of orange juice, that's clearly prepared with Tenya's preferences in mind, all he could remember is his friend's words. No, Izuku-kun, this night is for you. His hands land on his temples, the softness of his palms, wishing to get rid of whatever ache he's starting to feel with his thoughts alone. He feels his face grow warm, but his fingertips remain cold against his heated skin. He finds it hard to breathe for a second, just realizing that he has been holding in a lot of air. I can't do this, Tenya-kun, he whispers it breathily as if each ounce of life in him is getting drained by the second. He just can't stay here longer. He has to tell her. He has to. When the soles of her pink slippers hit the floor again as she comes near, he straightens up on the couch, hands slapping on his kneecaps, and head lifting to face her with all the remaining rationale in him. Uraraka's hair that has lengthened by a bit throughout the years is tied up with a pink ribbon, and her brown fringe is out of the way from slightly shadowing her eyes with a white hairclip. She's in her most comfortable clothes, very similar to her outfit back in the dorms, a black top and a pair of pink shorts. Seeing her like this makes it a bit hard to process that it's already been 4 years since they graduated from UA. That all of them already stepped in the world of pros. That all of them are making their names be known. The wave of nostalgia disappears, as his jaw almost drops when she sits in front of him, placing a bowl of what are those? He can't help the exclamation. Back then, he used to be more polite and maybe reserved around her, probably just naturally taming the words that would leave his mouth. He may still call her Uraraka-san now, but names are not the only things that can dictate how strong their bond is, so he can't possibly not react that way when he sees a bowl of eyeballs. Uraraka starts laughing again, which is contrasting the way his emotions are currently warping him. Try it. She raises the bowl to him and the jiggling of the white balls drains the blood that rose to his face just moments ago. But as he takes a closer look, he realizes that they are obviously not real human eyeballs. Feeling silly, he pinches the white slush ball that gets easily squished by his fingers and plops one into his mouth. As he feels it melt in his mouth, he finds his cheeks rising and letting himself fall for the wonders it's doing to his tongue's taste buds. Strawberry Jello. Uraraka nods happily at him. Try the others. Each eye colors a different flavor. He tries the one with a green iris, an apple flavor. It's really good. Did you make these, Uraraka-san? His voice sounds so muffled as he chews with excitement, enjoying the sweetness of each flavor. He notices her flushed cheeks get a bit more color as her shoulders shrug slightly. Yeah, I tried searching for Halloween-inspired snacks. Thought it'd help Tenya-kun. Uraraka continues to talk about the different snacks she prepared for the night, even adding that the girls were her judges in the spook level of the foods. Except Yaomomo-chan. She's a bit busy so she missed our convo about it, so we decided to prank her. Her face was priceless when I tried eating the eyeballs during our VC. Opposite to the merry image of Uraraka, Izuku remains guilty on his seat, trying his best to not drop a frown. Clearly, she's prepared her whole pad for both of them. Well, in retrospect, she's always been like this anyway. Always working hard to the best of her abilities. Always caring for others, going plus ultra in her own ways. Always making the people around her happy. As Izuku watches her laugh at the stories she's telling him, he finds her more dazzling than ever. Just her existence and presence are enough to elicit all sorts of joy out of people. The fact that she does more just doubles the happiness she naturally gives. Or maybe that's just his pounding heart that's talking. He lightly pats his chest that's being squeezed by what he's witnessing. A big, big smile. A pair of teary eyes from the laughter. A pure image of joy. And in front of her, he's like a piece of soaked cloth that's being twisted and wrung until nothing's left of him. The thing is, he's so hopelessly in love with Uraraka that it's taking all of his willpower to stay intact and let the seconds pass by. He badly wants to leave, to escape, to run away from here, just get all the acceptable excuses just to not spend the night here. But, how can he have the heart to do that now? Uraraka-san, yeah, He places his hands together, elbows leaning on his knees. Is it really fine with you? Uraraka tilts her head to the right. What do you mean? Well, Tenya-kun can't come so. It's just, Izuku thought that he could say the words but he ends up sharply stopping, breath slightly breaking. She picks up the tension that he didn't mean to drop. It's fine Deku-kun, if you're fine with it. I'm thinking of you, Uraraka-san. Be you but you came all the way here. Still. This is your place. He finds the need to emphasize that it's her view that matters right now but she just drops the winning bomb. It's okay if it's you. The two young adults pant at that short exchange of stammers and as they stare into each other, determined faces blushing, fits of laughter escape their lips. Izuku gives himself the space to laugh all these out and try to stop his heart from racing from her. It's okay if it's you. He knows that it's going to be his favorite set of words for a few weeks or even months. This'll be the first time, but I trust you, Deku-kun, you know. She means it no harm, really, and he feels her warmth radiate from that flushed smiling face of hers even if they aren't physically close right now. He gives her a smile too, the best one he can give at that moment. After that short moment of joy, inside him, he feels a small kick to his stomach. I'm really sorry, Tenya-kun. But this can't be my night. Izuku gets another ball of jello, picking one with a brown iris by chance. He looks into it. She just doesn't see me that way. It's chocolate flavored, he says after putting it in his mouth. Media conferences are not so different from battlefields. Just that instead of pro-heroes fighting crimes and villains, it's really more of a game of wit between two professions. Deku knew that. That's why during a conference to promote UA's sports festival, when he and Uravati were chosen as youth ambassadors by the UA Alumni Association, he was more than prepared to answer every question to the best of his abilities. It included the most controversial ones. The public relations team of the event have warned both of them to try and sway the topics if the attacks on UA back in their days were brought up, especially the kidnapping. Years have passed, and while the school maintained its reputation as the top school for the hero course, its image has really taken a blow that year. However, what Deku wasn't prepared for was the question. Uravati-san, a photo went viral online recently, tagging you and Deku-san back in your first year sports festival. Is it true that you were high school sweethearts? The question wasn't directed at him, but he felt like all eyes were boring into his very figure. He tried his best to bring out all the composure he has, but he was more amazed to see Uravati beside him speak with grace. This conference is about the UA Sports Festival, and I'd prefer to keep it that way. However, this isn't the first time I've been thrown that question, so I'll answer it once and for all. Deku felt the room full of people grow cold. The lights and the flashes were supposed to give a sense of heat. The crowd occupying the hall should keep each living body warm. However, it felt like snow had just fallen inside, the air going still as if frozen in time. We didn't have a relationship. I admire Deku very much, both as a co-pro hero and as a dear friend, and that's all there is to it. I hope that settles all that. She was smiling. He was stunned. For a while, entertainment headlines got filled with Deku and Uravati, just friends, but soon after, the rumors around them died down with all attention back at the event. It's true that hearsays in their career were nothing but normal. It still made him blush when he found out that they were being viewed that way by some of the public. However, during that conference, only two things entered his mind. First, he admired Uravati for answering that question professionally and smoothly, and for dealing with it all this time. While he heard and read about the rumors, he's never been asked about it. To think that she's been confronted directly before and he didn't hear anything from her when they met was kind of surprising though. But other than him being in awe, what really struck him was her answer. He's a dear friend, and that's all there is to it. Deku knew at that moment, with all eyes on them, with her beside him, as she wore that big smile. He can't let her know of his real feelings. He just lost the war without even fighting. This isn't how he expected the night to unfold. And he would do all it takes to keep himself from breaking. Yet Izuku felt parts of himself grow weak and fragile. A lump is stuck in his throat, itching to come out as an ugly gasp or a pained whimper. But he only swallows. He tries not to shatter. He tries to ignore the sting in his eyes. He tries to ignore that bubbling pain in his chest that can't be erased by anything right now. His vision blurs, the tears already coating his eyes and soaking his short lashes. The chill is engulfing him slowly as he feels his heart being strangled by all the emotions that may be too much for him. He couldn't take it anymore. His chest is about to burst from so much agony. This pain, it's just too much. It's too much even for him who's been through a lot. He feels his mouth tremble, the lower lip barely staying closed. His breath quickens as time continues to move. He knew about this. All this time, he knew. And yet, as he hears these words out of her mouth, he still crashes. Have you waited for your owner each and every day? Look how dirty you are. I'm sorry, how much you've suffered. UWAAAH. Izuku couldn't contain the sobbing anymore. Hachiko Monogatari. He's watched this film so many times in one lifetime, but still not rivaling the debut video of All Might that he has memorized the sequences of the film.
Maybe.
Yet, it still hurts him so much. Sometimes, just the sight of any dog that looks like Hachi hurts him already and twists his insides. The tears don't shy away anymore as he lets himself be flooded by all the sadness of the essence of loyalty.
It's talking.
Oh, I know.
The waterworks wash all other emotions in him as he just allows himself to cry and cry while Hachi's whimpering continues to play in the background and further beat up.
Yeah, see? You can buy positive if you don't want to hear it. What?
I walked on to say hi to your dad and his bathroom's talking. And I'm like, what the hell?
It wanted to say
His already battered heart. Some minutes into the film, he convinced himself mentally that he wouldn't cry, especially with Uraraka right next to him. But he soon gets sucked into the screen, and the next thing he knows, he's already sniffing like a kid who has a nasty cold.
Jackie, can you get my phone number?
Put it right there. You photocopy
Can you get my phone number so I can
water.
put it on here?
How is it water from Zachary?
Because remember he squirted me.
Hey, you want, hey? Okay, hold on.
Well, it wasn't on there when I just looked at you
The hot tears fill his face. There's probably snot too. He can barely see anything in the screen with so many tears gushing non-stop like a turned faucet. But he can still hear the sounds and the voices in the film, and it's enough to keep his tears pouring. Awa, why? Izuku's shoulders jolt at that and he snaps out of the feelings that the film is making him have. His senses return to the cozy apartment, bringing him back to the reality that is out of the television screen. Barely touched bags of chips and packs of cookies are on the table. A pair of glasses are empty with drying orange juice residue. The bowl of eyeball jellos and that plate of batwing cookies are also empty. He looks beside him, another sniff from his runny nose. As if on cue, Uraraka looks at him as well, a sniff from her too. As their reddened and swollen eyes meet, a lag introduces itself in the air. They both blink, tears continuing to leave their respective eyes. But a few seconds later, something snaps when they start laughing at each other's runny faces. Soon after, the dramatic film ends with both of them scarred by the emotional journey but also laughing at their synchronized sniffs, hiccups, and sobs. It's a beautiful film, Uraraka says, a crumpled paper towel pressed to her face, trying to absorb some of her tear remnants. It is, Izuku says, the whimpers not leaving him either. They share another giggle, listening to each other's groggy-sounding voices. Uraraka pinches on her nose but she uses her other hand to pinch Izuku's cheek. But I can't believe you made me watch this, Deku-kun. I feel like I'll hug every dog I see now. He laughs at her and he couldn't choose at which. Is it at the combo of her flushed face and clogged voice? Or that silly vow about hugging dogs? Or the fact that she is as emotional as him is fascinating? Maybe it doesn't really matter which. You said you wanted a film about dogs, he manages to say even if it's hard to speak with her fingers still pinching his cheek. She finally lets go with a huff. I did. Didn't think you'd choose something that's gonna make me cry this much. I forgot the last time I watched this but it's still really great even if it hurts, she says with a mellow tone. Somehow that sets him at ease. Even if it's amusing to see her be touched like this, making her feel bad is the last thing he'd ever want. In fact, it's not in the list of things he'd ever want to cause her. Both of them sniff at the same dot of the clock again and that makes them laugh once more. We need water, Uraraka says, and before she can even stand, Izuku beats her to it. I can get it, it's fine. Nah, let me move around too. As thanks for the hospitality, he says, and somehow his lips tremble a bit. Somehow when he puts it to words, it becomes more embarrassing than when the feeling's in his mind. Uraraka softly punches his hanging arm. Why are you so formal? She asks in between a small laughter and before flashing him a soft smile. But okay, if you insist. You know your way around here anyway. He nods to her before leaving. What she said is true. Hanging out in Uraraka's place has been a thing for a lot of Class A since it's conveniently located near the train station. Unknown to him, Uraraka has a diabolical surprise for him when he comes back. As he returns, Uraraka's smile that welcomes him is quite unsettling. It's kind of weird if he would be completely honest. He was just thinking a while ago that her smile's sending butterflies in his stomach, multiplying and multiplying the fluttering wings and giddy feeling of just seeing it. So now, how come what he feels is a huge tangled network of knots? Her giggle just adds to that squirming he's urged to do. He places the 2 glasses of water on the table. Come have a seat. She seems excited, really excited, he notes, with the way her smile is bright again. Her hand taps aggressively on the cushion. Hurry. He just follows anyway and retrieves his previous position, as the clapping sound made by her hand hitting the sofa comes to a halt. Is it his imagination? Or is she, kind of closer? Izuku's thoughts pause when she grabs the white blanket by her side and places it on her shoulders. She hands him the other end of the cloth. Here, it's getting a bit cold. Reluctantly, he nods and just thankfully accepts as they share the blanket. He feels a blush creep to his face when their shoulders bump, but he shrugs it off after breathing in and out. The smile and sing-song hum still with her. She presses play on the remote. As the next film starts, which he assumes is her pick for their movie marathon, Izuku soon feels better, abandoning his conscious thoughts of Uraraka. Unfortunately, it doesn't take long for the comfortable silence between them to turn to something as deafening as death-eating life. Church bells ring while the screen remains blank and dark, just reflecting their figures and curious eyes. The darkness shifts to an eerie evening in a remote area free of any life forms. It just presents a dump of soil, seemingly abandoned but not barren, and a tower that can't be made out in the evening's embrace. Nothing much happens as the film continues to present images of desertion in the form of lifeless statues gathering dust, moss, or aged decay. Yet in the background, the bell continues to ring, matching the changing of frames. The lack of actions keeps their toes curling, uncertainty intensifying. The bells become louder, and instead of tickling their ears, it leaves a certain gravity on them. And then a faint singing begins, contrasting the pounding bell and the delayed vibration in the air. It gives them goosebumps as if swayed by a cold breeze, as if the ringing is a wind passing over their skin and leaving a trail of standing twigs. In an instant, the singing gets cut. The bells suddenly stop, but the echoes continue ripping the air. Then a piercing scream is heard. Both of them remain motionless, eyes just glued to the screen, but bodies also as heavy as boulders on the couch. Choosing a different film or just stopping the thing may just be the right choice at the moment. But both of their courage banks are just drained by the introductory scene. The movie doesn't lie with what it wants to be when it wants to scare its audience. It means to spook, to flick on those squared shoulders, and to make each viewer shudder to a mix of anticipation, shock, and fear. The tempo of the natural sounds are scarier and louder than the music, making it seem more realistic. And the way the shots are arranged keep on piling curiosity, inviting and capturing one's attention. Izuku swallows, green eyes still on the screen. When the scary scenes finally happen, he isn't sure if he'd be able to remain quiet like now, Uraraka-san. Why yeah, did she just stutter? Is this the right movie? She did pick it, but the silence ever since the film started is kind of agonizing. He isn't sure anymore if she's even enjoying the whole thing. Yeah, of course. She huffs, nose in the air, but he doesn't miss the tremble in her voice. It looks like the stutter isn't just his imagination. Oh, okay. What the two do not know at that moment is that those will be the last words that they will be exchanging for the incoming minutes. Because right after that small talk, the movie takes them to a trip of heart-stopping horror, encaging and trapping them, not allowing them to rest and let their guards down. The air succumbs to a different chill that evening, one that is generated by emotions rather than the natural weather and climate. The light suddenly feels dim even if it's sustaining the same volts and power. Their breaths are suddenly hatched. Their mouths are parched. Their skins are decorated by bumps. Their eyes are dilated, yet both of them aren't moving, just stuck in their ongoing misery. Horrified screams fill their shared silence of scurrying shoulders. The sound of a heart beating echoes throughout the unit, pumping the speakers of the television, probably matching their own that are wildly beating in their chests. Then as the heartbeat grows louder, the camera pans and slowly tilts. Pale fingers, soiled nails, dripping blood, long disheveled hair, murky set of teeth. Chapped lips. The spook may have slipped into him with the virtual embodiment of a horrific image a few meters before them. Dark empty eyes wanting to devour their souls with a salivating pit of a mouth producing the most inhuman screeches, the wholeness of death incarnate. But rather than the monstrous ghost on the television screen, it's her close breathing near his ear, her tight hold on his arm, her close warmth rolling on his skin, and her alone with him that night that drives him insane. It's her that paralyzes him and sends his body to a tortuous needlework of goosebumps. That's right, Izuku feels numb with everything else but Uraraka. She's closer to him than ever. He thought that they haven't been moving ever since the film started, but in actuality, Uraraka's been slowly inching towards him with every minute falling on the clock. Just a while ago, her hand gripped on the sleeve of his shirt but he pretended to not notice. As the climax continues to build up in the television, it's not the ghost that attacks his heart, but it's the sudden movement of the brunette as she hides behind his back. His heart almost jumps out of his chest but then she holds him tighter, a soft whimper escaping her lips and entering his ears. She inches closer, her chest pressed against him and her fingers slowly digging onto his skin. The petrifying image on the screen blurs as if he becomes blind for a second. The screams of the characters feel distant as if he becomes deaf. All Izuku feels are her fingers wrapped around his arm, tips that are supposed to make him flinch from the cold, but oddly leave him warm. He feels her breath at his back, her forehead pressing to him, arm clutching to him like a child too shy to show her face to the world. He feels her tremble, hand tightening more. He doesn't move. He remains rooted in the spot and position, his heart and lungs the only things that are in motion. A few minutes pass as the film comes to a close with the characters meeting their demise. Izuku realizes that he hasn't really paid attention to the film at all. He grabs the remote in a hurry and stops the film at the credits. Her grip, however, remains strong. She refuses to move, still hiding behind him. Uraraka-san, the film's over. How his tongue didn't trip on any words is a miracle when he feels feverish right now with her like this. She's so close that her flinch is felt by the whole of him, almost making him bounce too. Slowly, She lets go of him and brings a respectable distance between them. He finds the courage to look at her, only to see her attempt to hide her face from him. However, the spaces between the strands of her brown hair are enough to show him her flushed, teary face. He sighs, letting himself breathe more laxly. He realizes that he's been holding so much air the moment he felt her grasp. "Wanna watch something interesting?" he offers. She slowly turns to him, soft brown eyes tinged with red, blinking. Some clear beads of tears shatter into sprinkles he couldn't see. You see, I've been binge watching this documentary series about heroes in different parts of the world. The cultural differences are kind of fascinating, especially with how villains are dealt with, cause not all countries are capable of having their own criminal facilities like Tartarus. Also, while pros have agencies, the collaborations and teams between heroes kinda depend on popularity on some countries. I don't think emergencies have been tackled yet, but this mostly refer to special missions. Oh yeah, there's also this island where only two quirks exist and they don't allow outsiders to come in their circle to continue the lineage. Izuku doesn't stop until he sees a change in her expression. His mouth continues to talk as the expert that he is in the task. He wasn't awarded as the Mutter Master in their made-up awards night before graduation for nothing. So he won't pop his enlarging speech bubble. Not until her shivering stops. Not until her eyebrows soften. Not until she smiles at him. Finally, he feels elated and wishes to give himself a pat on the back for succeeding. "Wanna watch?" He smiles back at her, probably bigger than he had intended to flash. A closed fist wipes the stray tears from her eyes. The sight drifts away all his worries. "I think I've watched a whole season just by listening to you," she teases. "Oh, I only talked about 5 episodes. The first season has 10 and the second has 14, I think. I think production's currently running for a third part." Uraraka doesn't respond to him with words but just another wave of bubbly laughter that's enough to settle him. They don't really watch another film cause it turns into another session of talking. Or mostly him doing the talking. It's quite a fascinating thing, really. When they first met, he could barely speak a word to her. But now, she's just welcoming his non-stop muttering with nods and smiles. Many times, Izuku would wonder why she doesn't tire from him and his ramblings. One of his journalist friends has even given him advice about his tendency for word vomit. While writers generally like content for features and coverage, most of the time, members of the media get lost in his whole word dump and it takes them so long to transcribe their interviews with him. Meanwhile, Uraraka here just encourages him to talk more and more as if his thousands of words are not enough. Oh, how he feels his heart swell at that. He almost stops speaking, as he feels this smile grow wider and stretch his mouth and cheek. Good thing he still has a thick stock of topics to discuss. For now, talking is his savior just to hide that utmost joy that's teasing his moving lips. Soon enough, Uraraka gets back to the mood of happiness as they share a meal together. Their stomachs had to remind them that they needed some late dinner since they weren't able to eat most of the snacks cause of the movies. It seems that she was trying to prank him as revenge for the tearjerker film, but she forgot that she isn't really good with horror films. It's one of the films I got for Tenya-kun, as recommended by Tokiyami-kun, but I got carried away, she says, brushing it off with laughter. I'm not good with horror movies too, he says, chopsticks eagerly snatching food at the table. Uraraka laughs at him, a rice grain is sticking on her cheek. What are you saying? You didn't even flinch when we're watching a while ago. He taps on his cheek to signal her of the stray white grain as he laughs nervously. He immediately busies himself with the food again the second their eyes meet. Of course, how can he even move an inch when she's almost hugging him? But really, there's nothing wrong with being scared with movies like this. Look, even Tenya-kun's not good at it. She nods. I thought that it's weird for heroes to be scared of things that are fictional. A part of him wants to tease her that those things she's referring to are not fictional, but he drops the attempt when he peeks and sees the look on her face. She's serious about it and is not proud of it. Uraraka-san, we all have fears. Even if we're heroes, we're humans too. Well, what kind of fears do you have, Deku-kun? Izuku takes a while to answer. Sure, he's been through a lot all these years. It's quite hard to pick out a fear when he's fought so many things in the form of villains or his inner demons. But one thing just resonates with him as he thinks. Losing someone, I suppose. The brunette stays silent and he finds it awkward. What's he saying? They are talking about really shallow fear and he gets all sentimental. I mean, then I'll be sure to be with you. Izuku drops the chicken nugget back to his dish. He stares at her, eyes widening and mouth hanging open. Uraraka's determination gets reduced to a smooth-looking tomato with big brown eyes. I mean, EEH. Her hands go towards all directions, unable to settle to any space right by her. It's because you looked lonely all of a sudden, and I just. Izuku feels another kick to his heart. Only she could this, really. The more they talk like this, the more that he doesn't want to lose her. Thanks. Back hitting the sofa, Izuku manages to relax, allowing his weight to just sink and fill the softness, letting it cure his body of the aches of a long day. Or rather, a long evening. The hours before stepping out of his apartment haven't really been that eventful since he reserved the day free for the sleepover, which will soon be over the moment he closes his eyes. His consciousness runs free to dreamland, and he wakes up tomorrow. Izuku watches the dark ceiling as if it's a blank screen repeating some of today's events. He wants to say that he's glad for this to end already. It means that he can escape Uraraka's unit without letting his overflowing feelings for her spill. He's been trying his best to contain it, but it still isn't that easy to not stare at her and recognize how beautiful she is, especially when she brought her hair down. Or how her happiness is so contagious that he's bloated because of so much air just from laughing with her. Or how he can't stop stealing glances when she's not looking at him. Or how he keeps falling for her more and more even if he decided to not let her know at all. He groans softly, a hand occupying his face. He's lying to himself again. Truth is that he wants the stay to last longer. He wants to spend more time with her. He isn't always blessed with the chance to just be with her like this, especially after going pro. They may have maintained constant contact, but this day is still different from all the other times that their paths crossed both at work and off duty. But maybe this is for the better. Because if he spends more time with her, he might just make some of the biggest mistakes of his life. Just like a while ago when she lent him 2 pillows and 2 blankets. As embarrassing as it may be, he actually thought she'd be sleeping with him in the living room, and before he could feel his heart go for a race against everything indecent, she apologizes to him for letting him sleep there alone. Well, it was bound to happen anyway. He isn't disappointed. To be honest, he's quite relieved that they didn't have to go through an awkward conversation on who gets to sleep on the bed and the cycle of, "No, I can't sleep here while you sleep on the floor." He chuckles to himself. He's seen way too many movies with romance subplots teasing about tensions like that. Besides, as if that'd happen, more than the impossibilities, they are not really kids anymore to not know about these things. Of course, it's not that there's no trust between them when they have loads of it, even more than necessary. Just that, they're probably just conscious of each other, which is good, right? As he continues looking at the ceiling, trying to allow the late hours to cradle him to sleep, he isn't expecting for this dash of light to line throughout the darkness. But what's more surprising is the sweet and soft voice accompanying it, "Deku-kun." For a bit, Izuku hesitates, wondering if he should pretend to have been seduced and knocked out by sleep, but the way her voice sounds makes him abruptly get up. Yeah, it's still really dark, so he couldn't see what expression she's making. The light hitting her back from her room just outlines her figure. After that horror film, maybe he should feel something ominous as she stands out in the darkness like this, but no other foreign feelings fill him when it's worry that's taking over the whole of him. Especially when he sees her hand brush on her arm and elbow. Izuku tilts his head. Is she okay? Are you all right here? Do you need anything? More pillows? Blankets? How about warm milk? I think I still have some there. Is it too cold?
She will bitch about that, but yet she could have did it a week ago. She could have called. She knew that it was going to take a while for them to get frustrated. Your grandmother is a frustrated pain in my ass. She irritates me. Because your grandma does shit. She will bitch about shit, but then she doesn't do shit the way she should do shit, and it frustrates me. Because then she bitches to me about it.
But again, maybe you're gonna have her own way of doing it though.
Exactly, you don't understand. She's been bitching to me about the fact that of the cable and all that shit. Okay? She's known that it takes them a while to set the come out and set shit up. She knew she was gonna need to set up that appointment. It's gonna take a while for them to come out. So she should have called. Like when she knew she was gonna be coming back to the house, like 3 or 4 days ago, she could have called, which would have took stress off of her to set up the appointment. It still would have took a while for them to come out, which will give her time to find her stuff, or her router and all that stuff. Okay? Because she's bitching about it. Matt, go make me come. And it's like, if you would have did this the other day, that's one less stressful thing that you've got. She's bitching that she's all stressed out, that she's got all these boxes and she's trying to find all this stuff that the neighbors done. And, well, if you would have made the appointment, that's one less stressful thing you have.
A barrage of questions. If he doesn't answer her now, she might as well be crowned as the new Mutter Master. These are enough, Uraraka-san. Thanks. Oh great. I'll just go and grab some water, ahaha. He stops himself from raising a brow at her robotic steps that seem to be reminiscent of how he is earlier. He remains seated, eyes carefully watching her as she gulps on her drink. This time, not even the darkness can really hide the odd behavior she's showing. Yet he keeps silent, realizing what it really is. He clears his throat as she finishes her drink and walks back to her room. He bites his lip. He shouldn't invite unease between them, but keeping himself quiet about it will just make things worse. As Uraraka places her hand on her room's knob, Izuku calls her. And when she stops on her steps, before she could even turn to him, he asks, "Are you scared?" An airy space immediately takes over, forming within seconds and all around them. Uraraka just dismisses his question with a wave of a hand, with a big smile, and with a joyous, Ahaha, of course not, Deku-kun. Good night, just knock if you need anything. Before she runs inside and closes her door, leaving him in the darkness again. Izuku blinks at that scene that happened so quickly. Is he overreacting about her? He can't help but be more conscious and observant of her when it's only the two of them here. Or is he just overthinking things? Well, he always overthinks anyway, but somehow he can't be settled, especially after witnessing how she is after that horror film. He wouldn't mind talking to her until the sun rises if he were to be completely honest. It might be too exhausting. It's their day off, after all, relaxation and fun should be the thing that's filling their free hours. But still, he'd still feel weary and he may also be unable to sleep right, knowing that she isn't okay. His thoughts get interrupted when he hears her scream. Uraraka-san. He quickly gets up, fast on his feet with every heroic impulse alerting him, and before he can even reach her door, she already flings it open, feet scrambling to him, hands pounding onto his chest, and gripping on his shirt. Pete, please sleep with me. Izuku spoke too soon. Way too soon. It really did happen. Sorry. Izuku doesn't know how many times he's heard that. But he's sure that it's more than necessary. It sounds so weak and so full of shame that he feels bad every time he hears it from her. Uraraka-san, you don't have to apologize, he says in the middle of the darkness of her room. Their backs are facing each other, almost touching, just a pair of cloths separating them. Izuku and Uraraka remain under the same cover, on one single bed made for just one person. She's facing the wall where the window is placed, while he's facing the other side that explores the rest of her room. A small space remains between them, but it's not enough to conceal the warmth that their bodies are producing. Just some minutes ago, Izuku's thinking that he wouldn't be dealing with more heart-raising scenarios, but now to share a bed with Uraraka. He almost wants to rip his heart out and just let it run free of his problems. He feels himself sweating even if it's a cold evening. They even almost got sucked into that cycle of who gets to take the bed. With the way things are now, of course, it ended with them choosing to share rather than have one of them on the cold floor. I'm no good, aren't I? Izuku's ears perk at her choice of words, but he purses his lips. If he opens his mouth now, he'd just tell her everything he likes about her like there's no tomorrow. Or pros now. I don't think a pro scared of ghosts is someone people can trust with their lives. I still really have a lot to learn. He can imagine her pouting mouth saying that. She's too tough on herself sometimes. Heroes aren't supposed to be scared of these things, she continues. What makes you say that? I dunno. It's kinda obvious in our line of work, isn't it? You're not wrong, but it's natural for us to feel different kinds of emotions like fear. Even on silly stuff. Trust me, Uraraka-san. It's not silly to fear something. You're just trying to cheer me up. That's unfair, she says, giggling, their cushion vibrating slightly. He starts laughing slightly too. Seriously, remove all the awkwardness, and this is mostly what they've been doing today. Ironic that she's even saying that when she's cheered him up countless times in the past. So what if I am? Nothing. Just proves that you're a great person, that's all. Now that's unfair. You're a good person too. Which is why I wanna make sure you're okay. Thanks. Silence falls over their lying figures once again and Izuku only feels three things. 1. Her back that's now slightly leaning against his. 2. His heart that still fails to settle down, wildly beating inside his chest. And 3. That smile on his face that he can't wipe off no matter how many times he tries to straighten his lips. Even if the lights are off. Even if he's so tired with all the emotions swapping in the hours of his stay here. Even if he just wants to relax and be lulled by the late night. Even if the silence is comforting. There's no way I can sleep now. But staying up and listening to her breathing might just be the death of him too. Closing his eyes doesn't help when he becomes more conscious that she really is lying beside him. There's this rush inside of him in contrast to the stillness of the room. Every cell in him is just awake. And just when he's on the verge of giving up, fully decided to just stay awake until they say good morning to the sun, one question is all it takes to forget all about that. You asleep? Izuku shakes his head. Nah, not yet at least. Me too. I can't sleep. We can talk if you want. Funny that he still asks her that when they've just been talking all this time. Yeah, that sounds nice. The talk starts simple enough. Just about the dreams they have fulfilled. Like how Uraraka's able to help her parents now and that their family business is doing well. How the couple is currently in Hawaii right now, enjoying a 2-week getaway, a trip that they deserve. I kinda miss them. They're mostly back at Kansai since business is booming with clients there, while I'm a bit busy recently cause of the UA Sports Fest. Before I knew it, I just realized we haven't met for 2 months already, she confesses. The mention of UA Sports Fest makes him realize that it's been 3 months since the press conference. Let me guess. You were hoping to meet them before the Hawaii trip. He feels her move slightly, probably a nod. Yeah, but it's fine. They'll be back next week and I'm free. I'm really excited. Speaking of, how about you, Deku-kun? Is your dad gonna be back for good? Yeah, it took a while cause he suddenly got more clients when his boss found out that his son's Deku. I'm still embarrassed about it. He feels his ears heat up. Uraraka giggles at him and slightly pushes him with her back. He almost falls from the bed if not for his reflexes reminding him to straighten up. Don't be so shy. I'm sure Inko-san's so happy right now. She is actually. Dad wants to surprise her by coming back home on her birthday. We're going to need All Might's help to distract her though. All Might's like your second dad, huh? He seems to fit your family so much. Izuku feels his whole face heat up now and his next words turn squeaky. That's. I still admire him with my whole being. I can't possibly think of that. Don't deny it. We all remember him crying so hard when he called your name for graduation. He looked like you when Dark Shadow showed you the headband back in our sports fest. You Uraraka-san, stop. He couldn't handle it anymore. She only laughs at him and he feels himself want to curl if the space only permitted him. No matter what anyone sees and no matter how many years pass, getting to know All Might like this is not even his younger self dreamed of. It was just something that's impossible. My dad's a huge fan of All Might. And I guess my earliest memory was likening all the merch to Dad. The next thing I knew, I was a huge fan, myself. I wanted to be like him. Meeting him and studying in UA's just a blessing. And to have both of them meet too, I still think it's not real. He feels his eyes getting teary. This isn't the first time he's talked about this or thought about it. In fact, he thinks of it every day, how blessed he is to have come this far. It's like something straight out of his comic pages back then. A knuckle lightly hits the side of his head all of a sudden. Oh wow. Looks like, ya aren't dreaming and this is all real, she says smugly. You know that I won't hit you back, right? You're too soft. That's why our battle ended up as a draw in our second year sports fest. You hesitated. He lets air leave his nostrils as he smiles. We talked about this before. I didn't hold back. I just got distracted. It's the wrong place and the wrong time. But the raw intensity in her eyes back in their battle, the will of wanting to win over him, it got him gawking, and that split second was enough to mess up his whole system. Fine, fine, you win this time. Finally, a win over Uraraka-san. She giggles shortly before saying, I wish I could be like that to someone too. Someone who can inspire other people. Just like All Might. I still have ways to go right now, but knowing that I've affected others some way or another might just be the best feeling ever. But you already are. He doesn't intend to say it that loud, with just the two of them in the room, with them being close like this, but he couldn't let himself keep this one a secret. Ever since he met her, she has moved him in so many ways. From how she saved him from tripping and falling from height in their first meeting, to the way she made his insulting nickname to something heroic and life-changing, to her determination in everything that she did, to every moment that she chose to save him again and again. You're one of my inspirations, he says softly, but her silence feels like a lacking response, and he finds the urge to engrave in her how much he means every word. He turns around, met by her long brown hair settled on her white pillow. It's the truth, Uraraka-san. Slowly, she turns around too. It's odd, but throughout the darkness, he can still see her expression soften as her lips curl at him. Her hair frames her face, long strands outlining her cheeks and chopped fringe exposing her forehead. And their eyes meet in a dark dance. Thank you, Deku-kun. I hope that you know that you're really amazing too. There it is again, that clench in his heart. A few words from her and he's back to that boy who couldn't pronounce even a single word. His tongue remains stuck in his mouth, drowning in all the words that he wants to tell her. But he keeps his mouth shut. He already decided to not give her even the smallest hints. So he just smiles at her and turns away, peering back into the empty ceiling. The return of the silence eats his being. Without the words being exchanged between them, the more it sinks to him that they are in her room, that her scent is filling his nostrils, that she is just right beside him, and that they're sharing one bed. He should try to sleep again, but it's definitely going to be a failed attempt with all his senses heightened, all because of her presence and her words that are lingering in his mind right now. He's just trapped with everything about her, stuck in the harmony of her breathing and the feeling of their shoulders together right now. What do you usually do when you're scared? She asks, and while it's only her mouth that moves, somehow, he feels the vibration of her voice with their connected shoulders. Is she still scared cause of the movie? I'm not sure. It depends. I guess if I don't have to face it, I'd try to avoid it as much as I can. It's a vague answer. Oh, the last time was still back in our camp. Suyu-chan and I held hands. Whoa, now that I think about it, that really brings back so many memories. Uraraka continues to narrate and look back into their experiences, including the test of courage rematch with Class B in their sophomore year. However, only one thing runs in his mind. Do you wanna hold hands? EEH. His ears do not miss that gasp accompanying her reaction. I mean, oh, only if you're comfortable, Uraraka-san. I'm just trying to help. I mean, I know it's kinda weird maybe, and my hands are kinda rough I think cause of the scars. And maybe sweaty, but if it calms you, or maybe we use the blanket to separate it. It's the sensation of holding that matters, right? You don't have to agree with me, I'm just suggesting. He keeps on going even if the words just keep on breaking as he continues talking. He's definitely digging his grave right now, his heart rate and body temperature giving him all warning signs. But if she's still scared, he can take all the embarrassment. She doesn't respond for a long while, and the longer it takes for her to say something or anything, he begs, the more his funeral plans get detailed in his worked-up mind. Thankfully, she spares poor him from all the thoughts of going south. If you're fine, Deku-kun. I'd appreciate it. After a brief nod, Izuku clears his throat and the lump of tension he swallowed is so big that she probably heard the internal act. He allows himself to breathe freely one last time before he slowly lifts his left hand and finds her right one that's lying between the tiny space separating them. He almost flinches when his fingertips make contact with her flesh, but then she responds to the touch by welcoming him with an open palm. Izuku cranes his neck to the right, as if doing that will distance himself from her in that constricted space. But the itch to jump out of the bed intensifies as he feels her fingertips fold against his hand, the subtle brush making his insides coil. I really like your hand, she says, in addition to the feelings stirring inside him. A wrinkle in the flow of his breath. It's done many great things and saved many lives. Oh, that's what she meant. Why your hands are soft. What a lame and useless response. And it's done heroic things too. There, that's better. Thanks. UUHN, he agrees, his vocabulary quickly turning to a clean blank slate the moment their hands touched. Who's he kidding? He's forgotten everything else except for the words. I like you. Say, Deku-kun. Why yes. He raises his right hand on impulse but immediately brings it down, realizing the silliness again. Unlike earlier, she doesn't show any hint of amusement at his clumsy reaction. He finds that concerning. What did you do if you start liking a friend, more than just a friend? Talk about timing. Usually, the topic would probably make him panic, especially with their hands entangled like this and after everything that's been said and done. But with both of them eyeing the ceiling and not each other, two souls still awake at the stretch of the late night, it may be easier to talk this way. In fact, it's the perfect time to talk about these things, in the ungodly hours between night and day, and in that solitude that a busy day can never give. Besides, this may be the right opportunity to remind himself verbally and loudly of the line between them that he must not cross. I probably wouldn't do anything. He sounds so defeated. Why? Meanwhile, she sounds so disappointed rather than curious. He can't blame her. He too is disappointed to hear that come out of his very mouth. Because I want to treasure our friendship. She doesn't reply, which this time, he is thankful for. Because in this way, he can speak more. You asked me earlier what it was that I fear. I said that I fear losing people. It's not because the world's dangerous or that the unexpected can happen anytime. But, just seeing the bonds of the people around me, and the importance of these relationships. I feel like it's something I want to protect. He almost told her the truth some months ago. But he could still remember her face and her words back at the conference. He wouldn't want her to be conflicted about them when she doesn't feel the same way. That's why if he can continue keeping things the way they are, just the two of them being happy like this, maybe not doing anything is the best. So I won't make a move, he says firmly, like it's a vow to himself and to her. You're lying, aren't you? I'm kidding. As if to heal his jumpiness, she clutches his hand for a quick squeeze. You looked so serious. Ha ha. But I understand what you're saying. You did tell me before that you didn't have a lot of friends long ago. This thought, it kinda suits you, Deku-kun. I've always thought that you're the person to cherish things in the best way you can. He looks at her, trying to find answers in her words that are possessing him and just making him feel so many things all at the same time. Sometimes, you protect those things first before yourself. He chuckles out of pity for himself. You know me so well, Uraraka-san. We've been friends for years. So I'd know. Yeah, friends. It has a bitter aftertaste in his mouth and it's his fault. He withdraws his eyes away from her. They're friends. But he's holding her hand and he's feeling something different about it, something he shouldn't feel for just a friend. Something he's recognized long before but kept hidden and carefully sealed. He's told her many things in just the hours of their talks. But he's been lying not only to her but also to himself. Losing people. In truth, what Izuku fears the most is, what does she feel about me? He should stop this. Whatever this is, because the words are ready to explode out of him, itching to tell her everything and free himself from all the hiding.
So keep talking shit.
His hand loosens but she only holds him tighter as if already anticipating his plans of letting go. He clears his throat, hand twitching against hers. Izuku should notice the cold that slips through between their hold. He should notice her pulse quickening with their skin slapped together in the handholding. But he can't sense anything when all he feels is his heart that's about to burst, telling him to get away from here before it's too late. Once again, he isn't in control of the feeling that's spreading and taking over him. He stops himself. I really like you. He chews on his bottom lip. He can't tell her. He has to keep it. His hand tightens a bit, digging the words into that hold, but not letting his mouth speak. He can't say it, he can't tell her that. But I like you. Those words. It didn't come from him. His hand relaxes and quickly she releases her own and uses it to cover her face. I'm sorry. Wait, Ura, sorry. I really feel that way. I've been wanting to let you know all this time. But I was scared. Her words are muffled by both of her hands, but he could hear each word that's filled with every bit of her sincerity. For a long time, I'm so scared of what'd happen after I tell you. I was just happy to support you with all I can. But then, one day, I just felt like I really wanted you to know, and I was supposed to do that after the press con, but then I snapped at the reporters. I couldn't take it anymore. It felt like I was being mocked for not being able to confess since Ua, and also I didn't want you to think that I'm just a liar. I just lost the chance and He feels his lips freeze. Their hands aren't connected anymore. Her shivering has returned and his own hand hangs between them, wishing to comfort her with a pat but failing to do it as she continues her hushed speech. The rest of her story doesn't enter his senses because he's still stuck in the very first set of words that he told her just a few seconds ago. Wait, you like me? Her shivering stops. And since she starts floating. Uraraka-san. Don't. His hand flinches, stopping midway in trying to reach her. Don't make me repeat myself, Deku-kun. It's already as embarrassing as it is to be rejected. She's squealing from the shame. Meanwhile, he's standing in disbelief and looking up at her. No. That's not it. Through the thin curtains, the sun's rays start to peek at them. A young man standing on a pink bed, and a floating lady hovering below the ceiling. Izuku then leaps, grabs her arm, and pulls her down. Kaya. She struggles to break free from his grip, but he just gently holds her and settles her down on the bed. Uraraka-san. She continues to wiggle out of his hands despite his call, face all red, coming clear into view with the light. She focuses on getting herself free, which makes Izuku decide to push her down. I was lying. Izuku looks into her eyes with everything that he has. It's not just courage but desperation to make her listen and hear him on what he has to say. Shocked, she stops trying to break free and looks at him. Her hair is a mess as it covers half of her face, but her widened eyes and open mouth are visible through the gaps. What do you mean? It wasn't that I wasn't gonna do anything. It's time to clear all the lies. All this time, I've also been scared. As selfish as it sounds, I was scared that you didn't like me back. I was just using being friends as an excuse. He takes a deep breath, his chest contracting painfully before he continues to let the buried words out of him. Uraraka-san, I I really value our friendship. But I trusted our bond so much. We've been through a lot. I wanted to believe that me confessing wouldn't ruin what we have, but, during the press interview months ago, I lost all the courage when you said that we're only friends. And I don't blame you for that. I just wanted to respect you, that's all. Does that mean? He forgot the important part. Yeah, I like you. They blink at each other as the words sink in. If they expected themselves to wear the brightest smiles they never thought of having that morning after knowing that their feelings match and mold onto each other's hearts, they're both wrong. Because instead of that, it's a bright and vibrant red that marks their faces, especially after realizing that Izuku has her pinned down on the bed. Immediately, he releases his hold on her and he sits back, but when she starts floating again, he grabs her by the wrist. Her other hand finds its way to his shoulder as they come face to face again. Can you repeat it? Her cheeks are still flourishing in a lovely shade of red, but it's her round brown eyes that gets him, looking into his eyes, verifying if what he said is true. Izuku's shoulders flinch as the clumsy confession tumbles out of his mouth. I'm as embarrassed as. Because I like you, Deku-kun. I really do. He stops himself, curses under his breath, trembling lips saying, I like you, Uraraka-san. I really do. Slowly, she allows her free hand to snake behind his neck. He feels her arms wrap around him as she softly says, release. Gravity returns to her, and as she kneels beside him, their embrace not breaking, she allows her reverted weight to drag both of them back to the softness of the bed. They fall onto the cushion, her arms still around his neck, while his own are awkward on the small of her back. Their cheeks are kissing, their breaths are in sync, their heartbeats are knocking onto each other. He pulls her closer, not believing that this is real. But as if answering his doubts, she hugs him tighter. Sorry I lied, she says. His eyes glance to the side even if he can't see her with their current position. I lied at the Prescott. I understand now. I shouldn't have taken it like that when you weren't talking to me but to the media. She nuzzles against his shoulder and his face grows warmer at the gesture, feeling her hair tickle his ear and cheek. I've always wanted to do this. He hugs her tighter, his face burying on her shoulder. Well, I've always wanted to hold your hand. She pulls away slightly and he already misses the closeness that brushes away. They lie side by side, cheeks now pressed to the bed, but eyes not leaving one another. She raises her hand before him. Here. She smiles at him and he feels his knees grow weak at the sight. Izuku lets his fingers slip between the spaces between her fingers, both of them clasping tenderly. Unlike a while ago, this one feels more full, their hands completely holding each other and not letting anything separate them. I really like your hands. You said earlier, he points out, feeling the tingling blush tickle his cheeks and neck, as well as her breath that's ghosting over his face. But I lied about that too. I said it's because you've done so much. But honestly, I just like it regardless, 'cause it's yours. That's not fair. This talk is too much for him. He still hasn't processed that she really likes him too. It's not like you didn't lie either. That isn't what he meant, but if it can save the remaining dignity in him. You're right. Sorry, because I lied about Tenya-kun. He actually said today was the night for me to confess. About that. He kinda told me about it. At least a part of it. She scratches her head with her other hand. He called me this morning, saying that he couldn't come cause he really had an emergency at work. That wasn't a lie. I knew you wouldn't push through if he wouldn't be here, so I asked him to convince you. I didn't know what reason he told you though. Izuku feels himself burn for all the overthinking. So that's the reason why he only called when Izuku's already at the station. So all this time, he's the one being lied to. He shakes his head. I suddenly feel so tired. He feels some of his spirits leave his body. Sorry. She laughs so hard that it's enough for him to regain her strength, hearing that joy enter his ears and be this close to her. Their faces are inches apart, their cheeks still lying on the sheets. I promise, no more lies, she tells him. She starts the fits of giggles again, the whole of her trembling affecting him as he laughs too. So much laughter today, but this is the only one that he feels so free and unreal. You too, Deku-kun. No more lying. Then, this is where the lies have to stop, right? There's still one thing. Bombs away, she squeezes his hand before grinning at him. If he doesn't tell her this, he would be lying. I've always wanted to kiss you. Where stories live, discover now.